Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar on scholarships, fees, and finance. I'm just going to allow maybe 30 more seconds for some of you to join. All right, then. So once again, hello. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar on scholarships, fees, and finance. I'm Gabriella, and I'm the Americas and Caribbean Regional Officer at Middlesex University. I was also a student at Middlesex. I want to say that not too long ago, but it was a few years ago. So I can relate to many of your questions about scholarships, fees, finance, especially as a student. The webinar will last around 60 minutes or maybe even less. We have a quick presentation followed by a Q&A session at the end. So if you would like to ask a question, please type that into the chat room box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. The webinar is being recorded, so we will share the recording and presentation slides with you in a follow-up email in the next day or two, but let's get started. So today we'll be talking about these three things: scholarships, how to pay the deposit and tuition fees, budgeting your money whilst you're a student at Middlesex. And this information I'm sure is useful to you whether you're a first-year undergraduate student or a mature master's or PhD student as well. So let's get started with scholarships. All right, when it comes to scholarships, there are a few things to keep in mind. We do give scholarships, and oftentimes it will be as a reduction to your tuition fees. Most of them are merit-based, but some are on personal circumstances. You can apply for more than one, but you can only be awarded one. So normally what we would do is if you merit several awards, you would be keeping the one with the highest value on your record. So feel free to take a screenshot of these links so you can know where to access these scholarships in the future. Also, every regional office normally has a budget for regional awards, but please remember that these are very competitive and you should aim to apply as soon as possible after receiving an offer to the program. And that's important to know. It's after receiving an offer. Many times I see students who want to apply for a scholarship first, see if they get it, and then apply to the university, but that's not the way that we work, at least at Middlesex University. It is also true for other British universities. So you want to apply to the program first, wait and get an offer from the program. And once you've been admitted, then you can start the scholarship application process. For those of you who are international students, you have the option to look into the Achievement Scholarship. This is honestly one of the best scholarships for master's studies. And it includes everything from visas, airfare, a monthly stipend for living expenses, accommodation fees, and of course, tuition fees. Now, you must note that this process begins a year before the start of your program. So this means that if you apply for Achievement in 2021, so this year, you'll be coming in 2022. Applications usually open in August and close in early November. So by the time that this is being recorded and that we're speaking right now, you are able to apply to Achievement. So please go to achievement.org and find out more information about that. You can follow their social media, look into their website regularly for the most updated information. I know that the scholarship call for Achievement is open now, so please take advantage of that opportunity if you are applying for master's studies. See on their website if you meet the entry requirements or the criteria to apply for the scholarships, and please go ahead. It would be lovely to have it on Achievement Scholarship. If you're from a country in the Commonwealth and can demonstrate that you're from a disadvantaged background, then you can also access this scholarship here. It's again for postgraduate students only, and their criteria is only for degrees in certain development subject areas, such as science and technology for development, global peace, and security and governance are normally the areas of studies that they fund. So take a look at that as well. If you are from the EU or EEA, then as a result of Brexit, you will now be charged international tuition fees and can't access British student loans, unfortunately. This is something that you may already know. But fortunately, we offer these Middlesex scholarships, which allow you to pay tuition fee that is very close to home fees and very far from the regular international tuition fees. So as shown on the screen, it's undergraduate students would be paying £9,500, postgraduate students just £250 more than the UK fees. Please note that this is an automatic scholarship that you won't need to apply for, and it's only for students who have an EU or EEA passport and are also permanent residents in the EU or EEA. So if you've been living in the EU, if you've not been living in the EU, sorry, this does not apply to you. Now, if you meet this criteria and are in the UK on a settled or pre-settled status, you can disregard the scholarship as you will obtain UK fees anyway. All right, let's talk about university fees and other costs. So things that you must consider when budgeting. Number one, tuition fees is probably the biggest amount that you would budget for. It's also the most important one because you're here on a student visa normally, or you're here for studies purposes. So tuition fee is number one. Second, any field or residential trips, if they're not already included. Some of our programs include the majority, I want to say 80–90% of those residential trips. But of course, there are some fees that you may have to pay. So please budget that and keep that into account when you're making a budget of your academic year. Then accommodation at our halls of residence. Currently, for the 2021 starters, halls of residence start at £158 per week. And private rented accommodation is available as well. You can go at mdx.ac.uk/accommodation for more information on accommodation at our halls of residence. The next thing you need to budget for is living expenses. That includes food, ground transportation, entertainment, the gym membership, laundry card refills, which is something that students normally forget to budget for, your mobile bill. All of these things are living expenses that you might want to put a number sign to and stick to that budget. If you are applying for a pre-sessional English course, then you should also budget for that. If you need a student route visa, in the case that you're an international student, then you're expected to have the first year tuition fee plus £12,006 in a bank account that is yours or your parents. You can check all of this information regarding visas and financial requirements at www.mdx.ac.uk/visas. But do be mindful of the fact that you will need to show proof of funds in order, or the majority of you, if you're international students on a student visa, will need to show proof of funds before obtaining this visa. So it's always best to have these funds available in case it's a request for your visa application. And finally, note that a number of countries are exempt from having to show these funds upon a visa application. So we do advise students to, have evidence in case they're requested. In case that you've applied for a loan, for example, then you don't need to show bank statements. But again, this is all information that you can find specifically on mdx.ac.uk/visas or on the UK government website, which is also very useful. All right, so some things that we include as part of your tuition fees, which is great, is well-being and academic support, everything regarding, even dyslexia support, employability advice as well for students. Even after you graduate, you can always come back to our employability center. We can take a look at your CV, see what jobs are available for you, do mock interviews. So there is a lot of support regarding employability. We also include ebooks and e-journals and all of the library access for you. I know of students, and I was one myself, who never had to necessarily purchase a book simply because Middlesex University had enough at the library for me to loan for up to 20 weeks at a time. So do take advantage of that to make your budget a little bit more flexible. Or these are just things that, as much as we would encourage you to purchase your own books and your own reading materials, you don't have to. It's not something that you have to add to your budget, which is a great idea, especially if you're an international student. We provide online training as well. Laptop loans, we have a laptop loan scheme. So if you don't want to bring your laptop with you, or if you don't have one, you can loan one for up to 24 hours and then just keep renewing this every 24 hours and you get to have a laptop. There is free printing on campus. So if there's anything you need to print, including your however many pages dissertation, that's something that you can print for free at our university printers. And if you stay at a hall of residence that is a Middlesex hall of residence, then all of your bills are included. Electricity, Wi-Fi, heating, water, and even a weekly cleaner for common areas like the shared kitchen and living room are also included. So these are things that you can kind of not need to budget for, which is great. All right, so if you're an international student, you will need to pay a deposit. That is a final part to securing your place at Middlesex. And after which you can then sit back, relax, wait for your CAS. The CAS statement is a confirmation of acceptance of studies, which is a unique code that you will need for your visa application. So once you pay your deposit, something that will be automatically sent out to you, so you can just relax and wait for that. Now, CAS statements will not be sent out to students who have not paid a deposit or provided evidence of having been granted a loan. So this is why you need to pay your deposit as soon as possible. As soon as you firm your unconditional offer, go ahead and make that deposit payment. It will be stated on your offer letter, but it can go from £1,000 as a minimum up to 50% of your first or only year's tuition fee. So keep that in mind. And as soon as you get an unconditional offer, pay that deposit. You can receive your CAS and apply for your visa as soon as possible. If you wish to defer your place, let's say that you applied for a January 2022 entry, but you actually are not prepared or something came up and you can't join us in January and you want to then defer your offer to September 2022, that's completely fine as long as we teach that program both in January and in September. But if you wish to defer your place, then you will be asked to complete the application process and pay that deposit before your application is deferred to the next year. So say that you have, again, a January 2022 unconditional offer. What you want to do if you want to defer is pay that deposit. And then once the deposit has been received, admissions will then process your deferral for the next cycle. And when the next cycle comes, all you have to do is sit back, relax, wait for your CAS to arrive. And once you have it, you can apply for your visa. An important thing to note is that deposits are non-refundable, except if you are denied a student visa. So if you pay deposit, it is expected that you will be coming to Middlesex University, all right? If you're still not sure, if you don't know, if you have something to think about, then hold off on that deposit payment. We want you to be sure that you want to come to Middlesex University before submitting the deposit payment. All right, so how to pay tuition fees. Half of your yearly tuition fee should be paid upon enrollment, and the deadline is normally at the end of the month of enrollment, so at the end of September or end of January, depending on your start date. You can pay tuition fees by either bank transfer, by telephone call with your debit or credit card, or with an online payment on UniHub, which is the student portal. We do not accept cash, so please be mindful of that. There's always one or two students whose bank transfer may not work and may hope to come with cash and pay at the university. We do not accept cash payments, so please be mindful of this and do your best at trying to pay by bank transfer or with a debit or credit card. We will cover the bank account information just a bit, but do not stress about not having a bank account just yet, because this is part of what happens during the welcome week. And you will receive more information about opening a bank account in the UK closer to enrollment. So at this point, if you haven't applied to study at Middlesex University just yet, don't stress too much about not having a bank account. This is something that you'll get more information on before you arrive on campus. So they say London is an expensive city. Let's see how students normally budget in London. So these are some of the estimated costs of living. Accommodation, bills, and insurance, it can go anywhere from £550 to £800 per month. Normally, you can find more affordable or more extravagant, I would say, accommodations, but it's really up to each person's lifestyle. Then, of course, you have to budget for food, household items, leisure, sport, entertainment, local transportation. If you live by the halls of residence, of course, then you don't have to budget for daily transportation because you can just walk to the university. So these are some of the clever things to do in order to keep your budget down. And do be mindful that the first year during, I would say, if you're a September starter, during August and September, you will be having to pay hefty amounts because of one-off costs, like the flights, like visas, like bedding, pots and pans, just a lot of things that you have to pay for in advance. Whereas after those first few months, you will start to be a little bit more relaxed in terms of budget. Honestly, I've heard a lot that, London is very expensive. It may be more expensive than your hometown, depending on where you live. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible for students. I've known students from very humble backgrounds who are able to budget properly, who are able to get loans or scholarships, and they've actually made it. And their lives have changed completely. So it is an investment. After all, higher education is an investment. It's something to stress. We would, of course, we do have a welfare office that helps students for that reason, because we wouldn't want you to come to Middlesex and then not have enough budget to pay for your living expenses or anything like that. So the bottom line with this is, yes, budget. Yes, costs will be very different from where your hometown is, but students can also live, I would say, a comfortable life in London if they budget well and properly. There are a lot of good specials, and you can get an NUS card, National Union Students Card, that actually helps students with cost and entertainment and a lot of those things. So it's still, I would say, an affordable city to study. All right, so these are some of the halls of residence shown for a 2020-21. As I mentioned before, bills are included, gas and electricity are included, internet access, of course, insurance, and even a weekly cleaner for the common areas. All right, so opening a bank account in the UK, as I mentioned before, you will get more information about this closer to your time at Middlesex. But opening a bank account in the UK can take a few weeks. Please be mindful of that. So you can allow for enough time. You should allow for enough time and adjust your expectations. In some places, like in the US, you can just go in and walk out with a bank account. It doesn't happen in the same way in the UK, so please adjust your expectations accordingly. You can also try and apply online to speed the process. It's normally what students have been doing. They've been advised to do. So they would register online and then get an appointment for that. I would say it is very wise to bring a traveler's check or small amounts of cash with you in case there are delays. But many places accept cards as a form of payment. I can't think of one single place that might not accept credit cards. Maybe if you go to like a fair or a market, like the Camden Market, they may or may not necessarily. Some of those stands accept card, but other than that, anything you will need will be accepting cards as a form of payment. You can see the main banks on the screen, but also an alternative for an online bank is Monzo. So you can go check that out after our presentation. Normally, banks will require ID or passport with a visa if you're an international student. So again, you should have a visa, you should arrive in the UK before going into the bank and trying to get a bank account. You will need proof of address in the UK. And that's why, as I mentioned, you'd normally need to arrive in the UK prior to opening a bank account. And proof of studies, like your MDX, offer letter, like your student ID. You can download, you can go, once you become a student or once you enroll, you will have access to UniHub, which is the student portal. And in there, you can request a bank letter, which will have, if you've updated your UniHub, it should have your address in the UK, your status as a student, the program that you're studying. And with this letter, you can just print it for free at one of our on-campus printers. And with that, you can take to the bank and open your bank account. All right, so that leads us to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for joining us today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. We'll be more than happy to answer them. I really hope that this presentation has been useful. So yeah, I'll give you maybe a minute or two to ask any questions, if you have any. All right, it seems like everything has been pretty clear. I really hope it has been useful, that you've taken a chance to take a few screenshots, maybe look at the links that we've shared with you on the screen. And please, you know, if we missed anything, if you have any questions, please do contact us. We have a Facebook group for offer holders that you can join. Our inboxes are open for students, so please feel free to contact us. If you're in the Americas region in North or South America or in the Caribbean, feel free to email Americas in plural at mdx.ac.uk, americas@mdx.ac.uk, and we'll be happy to chat with you further. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for your time, and we hope, oh, there's a question here. I'm so sorry, I didn't see that before. It says, I'm from India. I got the offer letter from the university, but I couldn't receive the scholarship. Could you please help me? You should probably try, I'm assuming that you have applied for a scholarship, and each regional office may have their evaluation. So whether it was a regional award that you applied for, or I don't know if you applied for a specific scholarship, but you might want to reach out to the regional team once again. So please go online, check our regional offices and the closest one to you. There are a few regional offices in India, so please check which one would be the most appropriate for you, and just send them an email and ask, you know, if there are any scholarships that you can, or any other scholarships that you could be eligible for. All right. Well, if this is it, then thank you so much, everyone. We hope to welcome you to Middlesex very, very soon. And again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you.